Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the player ratings. Southampton 2, Everton 0. Another day to forget for Everton, but most of them have been this season. Another shocking display. Let's just get into them. Jordan Pickford kept us in it, didn't he? Kept us in it for long spells. Just made some really... I think he made 9 saves or something like that. I wonder whether he thinks he should have done better with the first goal, though. Just because it was on that side. But I don't know. Made a great save from Ward-Prowse in the first half, a free kick, which, if he'd gambled, then it probably would have gone in. So that's why you need a wall. That's why it was the wall's fault when we conceded a goal at Newcastle. Because if you gamble, that's what happens. Someone can the players have the ability to put the ball in the other corner. But he made some big saves, big catches from corners. And I would say he didn't deserve to be on the losing side, but if you have to make 9 saves, you're probably always going to be on the losing side anyway. Apart from when we played Chelsea. But so I've given him a 9 because he made lots and lots of big saves. He really did. So Seamus Coleman, awful performance. Awful performance. And this is what you get when you've got a player of his age playing week in, week out. You will get this inconsistency. There's no way he can consistently play every single week at a level. At Goodison Park, maybe we can, but when he's playing against, they put players on him today. They ran him. Our whole right-hand side was dross today, and they made sure they ran him today. And you could see the difference. You could see the difference. And this is why we've got to start getting... It's great, and I love it. Hearing Frank Lampard come out and say, oh, he's amazing and all this. This is why we've got to start getting Nathan Patterson into this team one way or another. It doesn't have to be every week. I'm talking about integrating him into the side because Coleman will have a lot of games like this because he's getting older. It's his body. There's nothing you can do. You can't stop time. It's as simple as that. He will have games like this. He'll have games like last week, of course he will. But you need a level of consistency in every position. And it's about getting something starting to get something out of Patterson and continuing to get something out of Seamus Coleman as we go along. Because he was terrible against Newcastle and he was terrible today. And what was he doing for that second goal? That was appalling. Jump. If the ball's in the air, jump. Jump. Even if you jump to put the striker off, jump. It's basics. It's absolute basics. If you jump when someone else jumps, you'll put him off. You let him get a clean header. Awful Seamus Coleman from the 3. It was just awful all game. On the other side, Joe Kenny, tougher, obviously a lot tougher game. Never really got forward for him at all this week. Defender, he wasn't terrible, but was nowhere near the level of what he was last week because he just couldn't get forward. We couldn't allow. We just never. We never allowed him to get forward at all. Again, we had Gordon wasn't up to much either. But I've give John Joe a 4. Yeah, it was pretty poor, wasn't it? Mason Holgate. It was all right. It was okay, to be honest. Made a couple of good blocks. Defensively, did okay. Just defended, basically, the way you're supposed to defend. But they flooded at us all game, and him and Keane were always under pressure because they'd never really had anything in front of them after 20 minutes. And I've given Mason Holgate a 5.5. He wasn't absolutely terrible, but when you've got players just flooding at you, it's hard to be composed. Michael Keane next to him. What was he doing for the first goal? Why play a ball into Gomez? Like, you know the player. He's got 2 men on him. You know the player. Why are you playing a ball like that into him? Again, a bit like Mason Holgate, just looked ropey. Never really composed. That's who he is. They pressed, so he didn't have much time on the ball, and he made poor decisions on the ball. And I get, like a lot of our players today, he just looked like he had no tactical nous. He didn't know where to go, where to run, where to block. I've given him a 4. He was just, like a lot of players today, all over the place. I don't know what to say to it. It's Michael Keane and Mason Holgate. I'm not expecting heroics out of them, but I do expect players not to play stupid passes into people's feet who've got 2 men on them, and they're not going to turn them. I just thought that was terrible from Michael Keane. Alan, I think this game really did change when Alan put that stupid tackling on the halfway line. Like, that's brain dead as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's moments in games where you can go, oh, that's where the game changed. Well, number one, we should have got a penalty. Fair enough. But for me, the game changed for me when he put that tackle in. The minute he put that tackle in and he got that yellow card, I mean, why are you doing that on the halfway line? It's the Premier League. If you're going to throw a tackle like that, it has to be timed precisely to win the ball. And he doesn't, and he picks up a stupid yellow card. And then, about 2 minutes later, he puts in it's not a yellow card, but it's a foul. He brings one of their players down, they get a free kick, nearly score for me. But then they're starting to tally up, and then he can't play his game, and his passing is really poor. So now you've got 2 in midfield. One of them's Donny van der Beek, so he's not like going to be throwing in tackles left, right, and centre. And you've got him, so he can't even press. He can't tackle. His passing's awful. So now essentially we've got 1 man in midfield, and then he ends up going off at half time, and because he goes off with Gomez on, and there's your game right there. So I've given him a 2 because not only was he crap, but he was brain dead as well. He was brain dead, absolutely brain dead in that midfield. I wouldn't have took him off. I would have brought a 3rd midfielder on. I wouldn't have matched up. In second, I thought we got, for 25 minutes in the first half, I think we got away with it. They had loads of chances, and Pickford made the saves. I think at half time, the manager should have brought another midfielder on and said, right, we're playing 3. I'll sacrifice a Wobie or Gray, and we'll play 3 in midfield, and we'll try and get hold of it. And tell Alan to just calm down and get through the first 10, 15 minutes. But he didn't. He swapped them for Gomez, and I think that was a fatal error by the manager. I really do. I know he hasn't got loads of options, but that's why I would have would have gone to a 3. They were destroying us in the formation. They are used to it. They play it every single week. Said this before, and I think that was a mistake personally by the manager. But Alan, I've given a 2. Donny van der Beek, felt a little bit sorry for him. Stuck in the middle, basically on his own for the entire game. I don't think he made matters better. I think matters better for himself. I think he gave the ball away in a few, just where you want to keep the ball up, because that was one of the big things of the day. Is we just in possession we were abysmal. We were abysmal. So I've given him a 5 again. Last week he was great. Today he was meh. But as I said, playing alongside Alan, who can't do nothing, then playing alongside Gomez, and not having that extra help in there, really did go against us today all round. Anthony Gordon started the game bright, but then I just think as the game went on, they just got a grip of him, and they had, I think it was Walker Peters, wasn't it, who just looked fitter and stronger than he did, and just didn't give him anywhere to go, and controlled the game, basically. Controlled where Gordon can go. He had a couple of little moments, but he really couldn't physically make a mark on the game. He couldn't really get any grasp of it. He wasn't really protecting either, the fullback, and it was a really difficult game for him. He's had a great run, great spell recently, but today was just, we never got him into the game, and he never got himself into the game. And him, like a few of them, just looked really leggy. Like the first 20 minutes really took it out of them, and then Southampton just took over the game because they're used to that level. I think that was a big difference today as well. We just couldn't sustain the level we played with for the first 15, 20 minutes, and I think he was one of the key components of that. So I'll just have to give him a 3 because he just wasn't very good. And on the other side, Iwobi was very similar. Lots of stupid stray passes that went to nobody. Never had the levels of fight and commitment that he had last week. Never had, I don't know whether it's not playing at Goodison Park or whatever, but attacking wise, never did anything. Defensively, never helped out. Never sort of dropped in and become narrow. And him and Gordon were just both very, very poor. He didn't add anything to the attack. So I've given him a 3 as well. Richarlison, again, started the game very bright. Started it bright, was getting into some good areas, was causing a bit of trouble, was winning fouls. But again, after that 15 minutes, just couldn't get the ball into him. And that was a big component of the game. Couldn't keep the ball, so we couldn't get the ball into our attacking players for long enough to build things up. And he just fizzled out the game. We couldn't get it into him in where we wanted him, between the lines. And he just fizzled out the game. And don't get me wrong, he works hard, but if you can't get him into the game, it's tough. It's tough. So I've given him a 4. Give him a 4. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he was poor today, wasn't he? He was very poor today. You know, when he got booked, that first touch was horrible. He scored, obviously a disallowed goal, but he was offside. I know it will take time, and I said this last week. He looked a lot better last week, but when he's not winning if he's not winning the headers or the 50-50s, or he's not making something happen, what's he contributing? And he contributed very, very little today, very, very little to the team. So then you don't have a focal point. And the thing was, we were trying a lot of long balls to him, but we couldn't get he wasn't doing anything with them, and no one was picking up the knockdowns. And ultimately, we just he was very, very poor today, very poor. I can't hide that at all. I thought he was very, very poor today. You've got to have someone up front for you who's going to do the running for you, who's going to cause trouble, who's going to stretch their defence. I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin did any of that today. I don't think he did any of that at all. And he didn't add anything to the game. So I've given him a 2. All right, I just thought he was shocking today. And I won't buy into all this crap. I see in the comments now. Oh, his head's being turned and all that. You still playing footy, aren't you? You're still going out and kicking a ball. You're still playing footy. Yeah, I don't think any of that matters. I don't think anything matters what's happening to him next season or whatever. You still go out and play football to a level. You know, we train all week, they're saying hard all week. The manager knows who's phoning it in, who's dialing it in or whatever. Today's just nowhere near the levels, and he's got to get back to those levels so him and Richarlison can play off each other and create opportunities. But again, the whole of the team was poor, as I've mentioned. The wingers were poor. There was nothing coming through from centre midfield. The fullbacks are not getting forward. The whole team was poor today. Really, really poor. Like, all of them, apart from the goalkeeper. Let's just talk about the subs. Andre Gomez was incredibly poor. Like, incredibly poor. It was the wrong sub, or, if he was going to come on, it should have been for Iwobi or Gordon. Manager got it wrong, I think, in that instance. Game straight away just passed him by. He's not at the level to be chasing after players like Southampton's players who all know the press, work hard, have a level that is above ours, and that's what I thought in the first half. I was looking at two teams thinking, one team here are trying to adjust to a new manager's tactics, and the other team are absolutely comfortable with their manager's tactics and play it and all work hard and are all well drilled, and then there's no household names. They just all graft and work hard for the manager, and I thought I'd love to just be at that level. I'd love to be at that level. And Gomez was bringing him on at half time against a team like that was just suicide to me. It really was. You know, it's for the goal. Seen it for the goal. Ball goes into him. It wasn't the greatest ball, but you've got to do something with it. You've got to react. You've got to get it under control and then win a foul, but he doesn't. It gets taken off him because he's like a sloth, slow round the pitch, and then we're 1-0 down. And you've seen him all day chasing. He was abysmal. He was abysmal. Honestly, I'm not even giving him a score. I'm giving him a 0. He was horrendous. He was horrendous. I would have subbed him. Honestly, I would have subbed him. I seen Paul Clement talking to him. I just thought, there you go. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do, and I'd have subbed him off. I really would. He was that bad. I would have subbed him off. He was terrible. Like, really, really bad. He didn't contribute one thing to the team. He was so poor. So poor. And you can't have players coming on the pitch like that. You really can't when you're trying to stay in a game. It was 0-0 at that point at half-time. He added absolutely nothing. He was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Andres Townsend, again, didn't really do anything. Give him a 4. Run round a bit, won as a corner and stuff like that, but he didn't do anything. Dele Alli I give Dele Alli a 3. Didn't do anything, didn't change the game. Again, when he came on, it was only 1-0. It was only 1-0. And that's what really annoyed me all today, was 1-0 till what? Just past the 80th minute. We still had a chance to grab something. If we'd had a real go, and we didn't, the players just looked so limp. Didn't look up for it at all. And again, you know, I had a couple of people telling me last week that I shouldn't use words like coward or, you know, things like that. Well, all right, I'm not going to use those words today, but what do these players need? What do these players need to get them going? Do they need Goodison Park rocking like it was last week? Because if that's not, you know, you've got to get points away from home. You've got to pick up the points. You've got to be able to go away to somewhere like Southampton and stay in the game and say, we're not going to concede today. We're going to pick a point up here today. I don't think the manager helped. I really don't. I'm not having a go at Lampard because I think he's learning about his players. And what he's learned is, in the 2 home games, we've done well, scored goals, and only conceded a goal from a penalty. And away from home, we are abysmal. We are cowardly. We are lacking leaders. We are stealing a living, as someone says in the comments there, or they are stealing a limit. How does he find the balance? It's so hard. It's so hard when your players... I thought today was actually worse than the Newcastle game, but I'm just trying not to overreact about it because we come back with the performance like we did against Leeds, and I know we're playing Man City next week, so it's slightly different. But they are cowardly. I'm not going to call them cowards. I'm going to say they're cowardly. And we lack leaders. And the players who went round patting themselves on the back last week went missing today. Completely missing. And this is what I said, saying about Seamus Coleman. The fella bleeds blue. He's Everton through and through. But you've got to look at the performances away from home and think, I've got to do something here. I can't play him every single week. I've got to start getting Patterson into the team. Or whoever. John Joe. I'm not picking the team for the manager, of course, but we've got to start. We've got to start changing things up, and we've got tough games ahead. I think we've still got plenty of games at home that we can get the wins, but it doesn't look great tonight, does it? It doesn't look good. A win today would have been amazing. Don't get me. Southampton were great, by the way. They really deserved it. The win today. But a win today, we will have pulled Leeds and Brentford in, and you know, Villa lost, Palace lost. So those teams are there. They're there to catch. I know it's what's behind us is the real worry, but those teams above us are there to catch. No problem. If we could string 2 or 3 good results together, and that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. Can't just sit here and go, well, we'll be fine because the home games are not always going to go your way, especially when you're playing teams like Man City. You know, they're not always going to go your own way, but yeah, very, very disappointed today. Very, very disappointed with the level of the performance. As I said, we're going to limp to the end of the season. Hopefully, we'll get enough points, but this is a very, very poor Everton side that has to get the points, and then hopefully in the summer we'll get a few players in, but we are still miles away from We are a team that needs to be, one manager needs to be left in charge, and I think, you know, that probably is Frank Lampard. What I'm going to say, it is Frank Lampard. Just needs to be left in charge for 3 or 4 years. You know, Southampton are a team who've been beaten twice 9-0. I know last season it was a bit different at Man United because they had half their youth team playing. But they've left the manager in charge, and he's got them well drilled, massively well drilled. They all work hard. He's got players in the right position, and then there's no household names, there's no nothing, but they play good football. They're a little bit like Liverpool light. Yeah, as Mike said in the comments there, we can't string 2 passes together, and if we can't string 2 passes together away from home, we have to try something else. We'll see what that is over the coming weeks, but very, very disappointing. I'm going to try now and just go and forget about it for till Monday when I've got to do the final word. But there you go. Right, make sure you check out Baz's videos. Make sure you check out Astro's video as well. That'll be out soon. And let's just all try and forget about it, as hard as that is. And I'll see you all later.